The star chart on his forearm caught fire in a vacuum and spelled two words in blistered light. "Come home." Cale jerked back, hitting his head on the cockpit bulkhead. No oxygen, no fuel flame. But the ink burned anyway, moving like molten gold under his skin. Then a third word carved in deeper, each letter a nail. Coward. He swallowed the sting. He had chosen exile. He had stepped into the court's light, taken the blame, and saved his crew with a lie. Pilfering the sun? That had been the charge. He wore the exile band welded to his wrist like a shackle and a promise. Return meant execution. Return meant their pardon would vanish. So he left, alone, out to dark water between stars. Now, the sun he'd abandoned was calling him back like a furious god. Another flare rolled through space. The panels of his small ship mothbone shook with a sound he felt in his teeth. Lights crackled. Star lanes bled from blue to red, warning of turbulence ahead. He tasted copper. He looked down. The chart on his arm kept writing a jagged line, a path. The path pointed home. Not a chance, he whispered, voice rough from hours of silence. He laid a palm over the burning script. I left so they'd live. The ship's old AI, cracked and stubborn, hummed. Telemetry shows origin Helios 3. Your son? Signatures? Mixed how? Mixed how? Flare braid contains human voice patterns, encrypted, layered with coronal turbulence. Prohibited in 3 star codes. Forbiddance in 2. Forbiddance? That word made his back stiffen. The Wayfarer Oath had rules carved deeper than bone. Never answer an angry star. Never return from exile. Never trust a message that crosses vacuum on fire. He stared out at the black. At the ribs of broken satellites. At the fallen ice from a comet's torn heart. Somewhere behind all of that, Helios 3 was flaring like a wounded animal. Another tremor seized the ship. The heater coughed. Mothbone's panels dimmed, then steadied. Play it, Cale said. Static rose. Then, under the hiss, a voice bent by heat. Cale, he felt it like a hand around his throat. He knew that voice. Lyra? He said. Captain Lyra, who taught him the map of empty places. Who told him to take the fall with eyes steady and jaw set, so the crew could walk free. Lyra, who had not said goodbye. They adjusted filters. The voice sharpened. If you hear this, you're already breaking a rule, she said, the flare hissing through her words. Good, because rules won't hold the sky. The chart on his arm shifted, the path changing, circling back and into the sun's corona like a spiral knife. Don't, he told his own skin. We're not, no. Cale, Lyra's voice pressed on, low and urgent. They made me say it. Coward, the court watches the bands. I needed you angry. I needed you to listen past the insult. His chest tightened. A thin ache started behind his eyes. The court lied, she said. They never meant to spare us. They only needed you gone. Cold slid under his ribs. Where are you? He knew she could not answer. It was a flare. It was light from days past, twisted into words, hurled across the dark. Helios 3 is awake, Lyra said. It isn't a star like the others. The Heliarchs built a heart inside it. A door. It knows your name, Cale. It chooses an anchor each age. You were born under its shadow. You left. It's tearing itself to call you back. The mothbone groaned. Impact alarms blinked. Outside, space looked like a sea caught in a windless storm. Thin ribbons of light braided and unbraided. His exile band warmed, then burned. As if an invisible hand tightened it. You can't be serious, Cale whispered, and then louder, to the ship. To no one. No, I stay gone. They live, that's the deal. Deals made with liars are ash, the recording said, and for a moment the flare carried Lara's laugh, dry and small. Listen, Yarrow sold us. First mate, he traded our pardon for a hunt. They wanted you. When you didn't return, they took us instead. They're bringing us to the Corona Gate? The sun wants a key. It won't open without you. His heartbeat went ragged. Yarrow, he saw the man's crook smile, the hand always near the knife hilt. He remembered the way Yarrow had looked at Cale the day of judgment. Not pity, relief. Cale looked at the arm map. The glowing line pulsed in time with his pulse. Like a tether. Set course, he said. The AI hesitated. Wayfarer protocol, burn it. Full thrust. Engines howled. Mothbone turned on a heel and knifed toward the line that burned on his skin. The star lanes fought him, stuttering, folding, then smoothing as if the path welcomed him. Hours became minutes. Time around flare, baths always broke. The black went gold, then white. Helios 3 swelled ahead, filling the window with a living fire, petals of plasma blooming and curling. Between loops of bright, a dark slit turned like an eye, the Corona Gate, a shadow fleet ringed the star. Courtships, sharp and silver. Cable lines ran toward the dark slit as if they were trying to drag a door open with hooks. Kale's mouth went dry. Lyra, he said, though the message had ended. I'm here. Boarding sirens cut through his ship. He was already tagged. Beacons locked on. The exile band tightened again, pain knifing up his arm. Kale, another voice whispered. Not through speakers, not through the ship, but through his teeth. It sounded like Lyra and unlike her. Old and young at once. Child of my shadow. His vision flared a moment with a map that wasn't his. He saw tunnels inside the star. He saw a throne made of mirrors. He saw a silhouette chained to it. Not Lyra, someone small. Someone whose heartbeat matched his. He blinked hard as tears seared from the heat. The courtships edged closer, nets glimmering. A hail burst on comes. Exile vessel, power down, surrender, this is a lawful reclaim. The sun whispered again. Sweet as a fever, open the door. Mothbone, he said. Breath shaking, can we slip their lock? Not without a key, the AI said. His arm burned so bright the cockpit glowed. The exile band split along a fault line he didn't know existed. Plates peeled back. Inside lay a sliver of black metal, thin as a leaf. Bright as a scream, a key. Yaro's face flashed in his mind, then Lyra's steady eyes. He remembered the old stories the engine monks told to kids who grew up under hot. Red sky, the anchor holds the sun, or the sea of space will tilt. The anchor breaks and the cities fall like sparks. Kale, the mixed voice breathed. Lyra and Not. Sun and Not. Come home. He closed his hand around the key. It cut into his palm, hungry dote outside, a net fired from the nearest courtship, light webbing across the bow. The mothbone bucked. Panels exploded. Smoke filled his mouth. He stood anyway. He was one step away from the forward hatch that led to the small launch. One step from the Corona Gates beckoning dark. One step from saving them. Or killing every world he knew. He looked at the star and saw it pulse like a heart. He looked at the blockade and saw the crew cages slung under a silver hull. He thought of Yaro's smile. He thought of Lyra's laugh, rough and proud. Kale slid the key into the exile band's open seam. It clicked. The cockpit lights died. Everything went quiet. Then the sun opened its eye. Want the next beat of his choice. Follow now so you don't miss part 2.